Hey guys, welcome back to Thoughts We Share podcast. I'm Tinaishe,
And I'm Nicole.
and today we are tackling the topic of love and discernment and figuring out if you're in the right relationship for you.
I
Yeah.
like this topic.
So, Nicole and I watched this podcast with Yvette Nicole Brown, and she was being interviewed by Lisa Bilyeu on her podcast Woman Impact. And they talked about how aging is not really seen as a positive thing for women, that once you reach a certain age, you're undesirable. And once you cross over, you your chances of getting married or your chances of finding love become more difficult. So as women or as a young person, you decide to just settle when you're younger. So she
hmm
talks about her journey of being married. She only got married when she was 53 years old. And of course, that's a long time to get married because usually when you're dreaming about your life, even me and Nicole have talked about this before, that your ideal time to get married would be like 25, 28, 30, 35 latest. So if you've now crossed over into 53 and
hmm
you've not dated, you've not had a long term relationship, or you've had long term relationships that haven't ended in marriage, what does that all mean?
Exactly.
And is it even worth it anymore to even continue? What do you start feeling, and when do you start feeling all these emotions? So that's what we're going to talk about today. It's a big topic, quite heavy, but we're going to dissect it as best as we can. Yeah.
Yes, definitely to the best of our ability. I really did enjoy that whole episode. We'll put a link to the episode. And what I took away from it was just different segments. So for me, it really stood out how she talked about how she was single for a long time, and how she had to grieve different aspects of her life because at a certain point she had to let go of maybe having a family of her own, at least like naturally, and all those steps and stuff like that. So to me, it's just like she was a woman that was single on purpose. Like she talked
Mm.
about how she had to learn to be so in love, like so deeply in love with herself, because then her sense of worth was not being tied to, I guess, what society would call being lonely. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? So instead of like, because if you're not careful, you'll start like attaching your worth to that I'm a lonely person.
Yeah,
And it's something that, like, unfortunately, it's like the knot's been tied by society, if that makes sense. Because it's like,
definitely.
oh, by 30, those questions are coming in. Oh, when you're getting the ring, what's happening? What about a family? So it's like we're almost programmed to think that something's wrong. Like something is wrong. I'm
Yeah,
25, I'm nowhere near
that
anything.
achievement. Yeah,
Exactly. And she talked about, like, if you think about it, a lot of people that have achieved a lot of things outside being in a relationship, whether you've done well in your career, you've done well academically, all these things that you have that are great about you, does that make you less valuable because you just
mm.
didn't
You're
get
not
the
married.
ring?
Yeah,
Exactly, like, because you're not married. It's like it's almost as if none of this matters, because the most thing that matters is being married, is being engaged, is having a family. So if you don't get all these things, there's something's wrong. Something is wrong with you,
yeah,
and I hate
definitely.
that.
Yeah, I dislike that as well. I think a lot of it's just pressure from outside people that they literally have nothing else to say to you, whether that's
Mm-hmm.
your family, your friends, or somebody just as an elder in the society or in your family that just comes to you and keeps saying this thing. They literally have no point of conversation with you.
Yeah.
And for them, that's what they value. And that's fine. They can value marriage and they can value that as their biggest achievement or their goal for themselves, and they can
Mm-hmm.
project that onto you. But how that internally affects you as an individual then becomes you feel all this pressure, and then you start feeling like there's something wrong with you, even though
Mm-hmm.
you've done other things, or even if you haven't achieved certain things, or you've made goals that are not deemed as true successes. Like if you haven't finished school but you've done something else, you've got a job, you bought yourself something, even something small as shoes, like you saved enough money to buy yourself a fridge or a pair of shoes or something. Other people don't perceive that as great successes, So they're going to project on you, and then you kind of internalize that.
Mm-hmm.
So now comes the thing of how that reflects in how in your dating life, right? So for example, I'm 28. Obviously that question is coming to me a lot now that I'm closer to 30, in comparison to when I was 24 years old or 23. That question never even came up in conversations, like, oh, when are you going to get married? And then it'll come up after like 6 months or 10 months or whatever. But now
Yeah.
it's more of a constant of like, of feeling like that pressure of when am I gonna get married? And even internally, I just feel like, oh my gosh, I'm running out of time. I'm running out of time. But time for what?
Mm-hmm.
Even though I have all these other achievements, I have a business, I have great friendships, I have a great family, I work, I do things, I have time, I do things, but everything is always just summed up into this small ball of, if you can't find someone, then you are bad, or there's something wrong with you. How come you're not desirable?
Mm-hmm.
And that internalized feeling of not being desirable, how does that affect how you view yourself or how you love yourself? Because obviously, if you start feeling like you're not desirable, start thinking you're ugly, start thinking you have a bad personality, start thinking that
Mm-hmm.
your body is bad, and you now become too obsessed with your image or your how you are. You just feel you're not worthy,
Yes.
and how does that then reflect into your relationships? Do you then end up in a toxic relationship where someone just gives you some small bit of attention? You're thinking, oh, damn, at least they see me, even though they're not being nice or it's not
Mm-hmm.
a great relationship. You're just like, "Ah, at least he sees me, at least like somebody likes me, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah. Have you
Yeah.
had experiences of that where you felt less, not worthy, and then you end up in a situation, even a friendship, where you're being mistreated, or that's not where you're supposed to be?
Yeah, of course. I feel like both romantically and non-romantic relationships, I've had an experience of that. I remember well, a while back when I was dating somebody, and at the time it felt like the amount of effort, the amount of time, what it took for me to make that relationship work. When it came crumbling down, I almost felt that pressure to make it work. It was like this has
Mm-hmm.
to work. It felt like no, this really has to work. Like I was bending over backwards, and I could genuinely see that this is not my person. But I just felt like this has to work. And the thing is, sometimes it's so terrifying to be alone, especially when you envisioned things going so well with somebody. It's like you've envisioned it and everything seemed great at the beginning. And then things start going left, but you're just clinging on to that vision of like what the potential, what you thought that relationship was going to be. Because I remember before, when I used to date, it was almost like I was thinking about the future. I could think about the next 5 years with this person. So it's like now I have to reprogram my brain to think, this is not what it is. But my brain wants to believe that that's what it is. So I just cling on. So it
Yeah,
can be really, really terrifying to be alone. And it's even more deflating to know that, oh my God, I've spent the last year wasting my time. Like my time can have gone for nothing. And then now you're just dreading being back on the market again, like, oh, and the dating
you
pool
have to
is
start
trash.
over. That question of like, oh, what's your favorite color? And you're literally like, how many
Yes.
favorite colors have I collected over the past year, man?
I'm
Yeah,
drained. And you're just like,
yeah.
oh my God, no, I don't want to go back there. And then you're hearing your single friends say, trust me, the dating pool is the pits. And I'm just like, oh, is it better? The devil, I
Mm,
know.
yeah,
But you know what? It's always, always, always better to be brave, because I feel like when you say no to the wrong situation, that's how you're able to find the right person.
I
Obviously,
agree. Yeah,
from my standpoint, going from a very, very, very toxic relationship to a very healthy relationship, if I really stuck to what I thought at the time and I really said, you know what, let's just stick this out, then I wouldn't have found something that was better. I wouldn't have known that, relationships can be easy, communicating can be easy. It's not toxic all the time. Someone can really commit to you and you not have to worry. But I really had to accept that this is not working. and
Yeah.
have that I'm not going to settle. This is not it. I had to ask myself, is this really the best that I could do? Like,
Mm,
honestly. And I thought, no. And even if, let's say, you leave, because that's what Yvette Nicole Brown talks about, that like maybe you won't find the love of your life, but it doesn't make you less valuable. And also, does this mean that like you're just gonna like stay because you're scared of not finding somebody else, like, oh, but if I leave maybe I'll never find anybody. But then it's
yeah.
like, do you want to stay in a relationship or with people that dim your light? Because trust me, that's actually miserable. It's miserable and miserable. You're actually better off alone. If you can fall
Yeah,
in love
yeah.
with yourself, you're so much richer in like just loving yourself and your friends and family. There's just different types of love that you can learn to feel full in, if that makes sense.
Definitely, yeah. I think one of the things is when people date, and I know I've had this experience before as well, where you feel when you're alone, you're not a full person. You
Mm-hmm.
don't feel like you are complete. So
Yeah.
comes in the term my better half, or the one that completes me, my other half, my whole, is
Mm-hmm.
when now a person comes into your life and you feel complete. And in
Yeah.
this podcast that we were listening to, they talked about that and said, when your worth is assigned to someone else, that someone else is going to come and save you, or someone else is going to
Mm-hmm.
come and show you how good you are,
Yeah.
then you're not going to have a good relationship, because you don't
Mm-hmm.
have a good relationship with you. So you have to start there. That's your basis, your base. Me as
Mm-hmm.
Tina, how much do I love myself? Do I think I'm worthy? Do I think I deserve
Mm-hmm.
a partner that is loving, caring, compassionate, all the good things that I want in a person? Or do I feel like someone is going to come and show me how life can be beautiful? When, because
Yes.
my life is so dull and bad right now that I stay in my room all day, I don't do anything, I feel sad. My life is nothing. Even with all my achievements, my life is nothing because I don't have a man or I don't have a partner. Then I am nothing. And I'm waiting for the partner to come and show me how life can be wonderful and flowers can bloom and the sky can be blue, all these things, because I feel like nothing. I can only be
Yes.
complete with someone else. And in there, she says, you need to develop a relationship with yourself, with which I completely agree with.
Mm-hmm.
If you do not have that relationship with yourself, you're literally, and Nicole says this all the time, you are literally, you literally are the longest relationship you have with yourself.
Yeah.
From day one, the day that you enter this earth and the day that you leave this earth, you will always be with you. You
Mm-hmm.
cannot avoid you. But you have to figure out the spaces or the areas in your life where you feel you're unworthy. If you feel
Yes.
you don't deserve love, why do you think you don't deserve love? You know, what is someone who deserves love? If you feel like someone who deserves love
Mm-hmm.
is someone who exercises all day and eats healthy and all of that, then you'll kill yourself trying to be all those things. And when you reach there, you still won't feel anything, you know, because you haven't developed that part, or you
Yeah.
haven't healed the part where that hole is or that gap is. If you feel like you have acne and you can't be lovable because you have acne, because you're now comparing yourself to people without
Mm-hmm.
acne, and you're seeing that, oh, that girl or that person doesn't have acne, and then they're in a relationship, that means they are worthy and I'm not, because my skin is not perfect, my thing is not perfect, so I don't deserve
Yeah.
that. But that's not true,
Oh,
and you
that's
need
right.
to
Mm-hmm.
combat those things, because people can come in and they will like you and they will love you, and or love in quotation marks, right? Because it depends. They'll come and show you all this attention, and then you feel like, oh damn, maybe I am beautiful, I am. And then the moment they leave or they do something that hurts you, you struggle to then separate from them,
Mm-hmm.
because you are attached to that feeling that they're giving you, that, oh, look at you as you are, I'm taking you as you are, I'm accepting you as you are. That means you know, you are now worthy, you're now beautiful, you're now all these things because I'm there with you. But
Yes.
when they now disappear, you become attached to that feeling, and then it would be so difficult to then release yourself from environments where things are toxic, things are hard, things are not as you envisioned,
Yeah.
because as people, we envision our romantic lives. We know what we want.
Yeah.
You want to hold hands, or you want to kiss, or you want to just, run around in a field of flowers together. But if those things are not happening and you're just there, you just say, oh, okay, I guess this is it. And then it becomes bad for you, but you won't
Mm-hmm.
leave it because you're like, I guess this is all I can get anyway, which is
Yeah.
not true.
Never
Yeah.
true. Never true.
Mm-hmm.
And just to piggyback on what you said, I think the whole idea of like what you and Yvette said that really stood out to me was she learned how to embrace being single for 53 years of her life, and she did that by creating a fulfilling single life. So it's like she built a career, her friendships and her hobbies and everything. So she learned to love everything about being single, and she was very intentional, so that by the time she finally was able to find the person that she wanted, it wasn't like I desperately need this person. Like it was
Mm-hmm.
whether with or without you, I don't need you
I'm
because
still
I'm
good.
already
Yeah.
full. You're just like an addition. And one of the things that she said that really stood out to me was that she talked about how you'd never regret being single if your single life is full, if you've lived a very full single life, and it's a rich life with meaningful things that are like, whether it's being a godmother to your friend's daughter or just being a good friend. There's so many things that make you valuable. So if you're able to live a very full life being single, you would never regret like that decision. It's better than grabbing someone because she said like that the music from the musical chairs is about to run out. You know when you're playing musical
Yeah.
chairs and you know that the song's about to end, I need to grab a seat, and you end up grabbing the next seat, any seat that you can find. And that's what happens because you just
Mm-hmm.
really want love so bad. But she also talks about like, even if, let's say, if you know deep down in your heart that you really want to find love, it's okay, rather than to be like, you know what, I don't care, whatever. She says never give up on the dream of wanting to find love. If you still want it, accept that you just want it, but don't let the dream destroy you. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
can you fall in love with you? Can I love myself if I don't find the dream? Where
Mm-hmm.
does my self-worth stand if I don't find the dream? And I think that's very important. I know obviously sometimes when a person in a relationship is speaking, you're just like, come on, but you have someone to go home to at night or someone to speak to. However, how this has spoken to me, just even as a person in a relationship, is to really think that if anything ever went left, or if I was ever not happy, it's not the end of the world. I think
Yeah.
that's something that I'm trying to ingrain in my mind, that like it's not to the detriment of myself that I must really stay in an environment that's unhealthy. It's also taught me that like there's bravery in just trying to make sure that you give yourself the best options. You deserve the best options. I deserve the best love. And if I wasn't receiving the same love, then it's time to go. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not also gonna buy into the narrative that like I'm broken for choosing not to like
Mm-hmm.
stay in that relationship or choosing not to settle, because sometimes it's one of those things where like they didn't say, I guess if you're with someone for a very long time and then you break up with them, it's like, what did you do? Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
always like
Yeah.
this misconception that it's you. Why are you single? What didn't you do right?
Yeah.
You should have done this, you should have done that, you should have done this. And I think that's why it's so important to make sure that you know what your values are and you
Yeah.
know what your non-negotiables are, because at the end of the day, if your values are not being met, they're not being met. If people
Mm-hmm.
choose to think that there's something wrong with you, because sometimes I hear all this thing that like, oh, well, you should have just done it anyway. You know what I mean? Like you should have
Mm-hmm.
just done it for the sake of just doing it. But then I also like refuse to believe that, because I feel like you have one life to live. Like just literally one life. And I want to be with
Yeah.
someone that truly respects me and loves me and treats me and sees me. I don't want to just be in a relationship for the sake of being in a relationship because that's what you're meant to do
That's the
before 30.
status.
That's
Yeah.
the status because, well, you don't have status unless you're in a relationship. I
Mm.
want to be in a relationship that's full. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I really, really enjoyed that.
I did as well, and I definitely agree. I think we should play a game about values actually, to
Mm-hmm.
kind of determine what those are. Because I know for me, I do struggle with the whole worthiness thing and trying to figure out where, when I achieve a goal, I'm doing something. Is it for me,
Yeah.
or am I doing it for the attention of others?
Mm-hmm.
So really determining when I am living this life, because I do say this all the time, like when I'm hanging out with my friends and oh, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna meet a man today, I'm gonna meet somebody today, and it's like it takes away from the experience that I'm having, because I'm thinking, okay, every outing is an opportunity to meet someone.
Yeah.
Any conversation is an introduction. Any one that I pass on the street, it's a moment of, oh, this could be, the moment I fall in love. This could be, like in movies where you drop a pen and then someone picks it up and it's like a whole scenario. That's
Mm-hmm.
how my mind will be going. So I think it's really important then to figure out how to decenter this thing of looking for romance all the time or looking for love all the time
Yeah.
when my day is going on, because I will never have this day again. Today will always be today. And
Today.
I can't go back into today. I can't move forward. I'm just here today. But how do I then take that day and make it mine and feel fulfilled within myself and not feel like, oh, there's a lack, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think
Mm-hmm.
maybe starting with the values would be a
Yes.
good point. Yeah.
Yeah, and actually speaking on values, I did listen to another episode on women impact. I forgot the lady that Lisa was interviewing, but she
Mm-hmm.
was basically talking about like figuring out what's really important to you in a relationship, or like what is it exactly that you're after. And she talked a lot about how when she meets a lot of women, like a lot of women say, "Oh, my type is a 6 foot man." Or
Mm-hmm.
someone that's earning well,
100K or
six
whatever.
figures, exactly
Yeah.
100K a year. And then she said the problem with that is that in most countries, like there's only like a percentage of 6 foot men, like usually it's like under 15%. So it's like you're already eliminating 80 to 85% of potential people by saying that you want to date a 6 foot man. Or then rather than saying, oh, I don't want to date a 6 foot man, you could really just focus on the kind of qualities that you want. I want someone that's going to respect me, someone that's going to, like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
someone that's going to cater for me, someone that's going to consider me, that's going to see me, rather than just focusing on the height, if that makes sense. Because
Mm.
then she talks about how, because those men are in scarcity, especially even high earning men, because they said, like, if you look at Canada, for instance, less than 5% of those men are earning 100K, over 100K
Mm.
a year. So you're stuck with the 5%. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So she was very brutal in terms of, because I hear this a lot from my friends. It's always about, well, I don't want to date someone who's not making X amount of money. I want someone that can buy me a Dior me this. If you love her, Dior her,
Mm.
or Gucci this and Gucci that, or Hermes bag. And then if you
Yeah.
look at the price of these things that you're asking for, and then you're looking at realistically, like, okay, fine, if less than 5% of men in a country earn hundred less than 100K, then how many men can actually afford to Dior you every
Yeah.
3 months
The
and fly
pool
you
becomes
out?
small.
The pool becomes small, and then the longer it takes that you will find that relationship. Or maybe she said if you truly want that, then you also have to accept that maybe you might not find it as well, because that 5% men, all women that think like you, their eyes are on them. They have so many
Mm.
options. And then
Mm.
that also comes with a lot of them not being able to treat you right, being able to commit to you. So I think it's also a way to try and posture yourself in a way that you're able to focus on what's really, 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 really important to you. Honestly, I would love a Gucci bag. Don't get me wrong. Like a Gucci bag looks nice. Even the Dior's, don't get me wrong, they do look nice. But I think for me, what's more important, I've got to a point where like I've really accepted what's more important. And for me, what's more important is to be seen, and is to be loved, and is to be cherished, and is to be respected, and to be given loyalty. That's the main important thing to me. And I know sometimes my friends don't get it because they're like, come on, like you're a pretty girl, you can do more. But also understanding that that vision is not my vision. And I think that's one of the things where like you literally have to literally listen to yourself, especially in a world where everyone is kind of like trying to push their thoughts and kind of be like, oh yeah, you should go for this, you should go for this. You really need to ask yourself, but do you really want it? Because personally, I value other things more than I do a Dior bag. I'd
Mm,
rather even settle for a River Island bag and a man that treats me well. I will take that any day.
I
And I
get
mean
you.
that.
Yeah, I totally get you. I think then because you're then dealing with the things that, okay, the thing about like saying, 6 foot and 100K, it's nice aesthetically, obviously, but
Mm-hmm.
then there's other things involved. For example, how people argue or how they communicate, how they experience life. I know
Exactly.
on my part, I do love a nice little adventure. I love playing around, like being outside. I like artsy things, so I value that type of thing. So I'd look for someone, or I'd want to be with someone who is who likes exploring or likes an adventure or likes taking a risk
Mm-hmm.
in that sense, like bungee jumping or just doing something a little crazy on a random Tuesday.
Yeah.
Other people don't like those things. They prefer to do things that are more based inside the house or more calm, less risky in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
So those are
Mm-hmm.
things that I value. So aesthetically, yeah, it'll be cool to be walking
Exactly.
around with someone that looks like a hunk, obviously. But then at the same time, when you meet someone who has similar values to you, they're also attractive to you
Yeah.
because there's you have to also think about how multifaceted you are as a human being. You have all these things. You work a good job. You are educated, or you have all these skills and are particular about certain things, and that is attractive and that is beautiful. And then when you open your mouth, you become an even better wonder. People are curious about you, and you want to
Yes.
share all the things and knowledge that you have with other people, and you will meet people that are into those types of things. And
Mm-hmm.
then sometimes going back to the loneliness factor, that when you're single, or if you're single, or you're experiencing, or you're in this space of like, okay, what am I supposed to do? You end up feeling lonely. And a lot of the thoughts that come in are, am I ever even going to meet someone? Or is this it? Like how you were
Yeah.
saying, you had to choose yourself in that situation and say, actually, I actually deserve more. And I know I'll meet someone that is more for me.
Mm-hmm.
Going back to our guru, Mel Robbins, she said this one thing in one of her posts where she said, there are people you haven't met yet that are going to love you so deeply. And
Mm-hmm.
I really resonate with this sentence because in 2020, I had like the worst case of depression ever. I'd never met Nicole, any of my friends that I have now. And I was just thinking, if I gave up then and said, oh, I'm never going to meet anyone or make friends or whatever, I would have never moved here, would have never even taken myself out of the house to go and meet Nicole.
Yeah.
I would have said, well, that's it. This is it. At 23, I'm done. Like, I'm not going to meet anyone
Mm-hmm.
else. But moving here opened my eyes, and it made me see that there's more people that I can meet that can love me as deeply as I love them. That there's an
Yes.
opportunity. The world is so big. There's over, what, 7 million people on this earth right now. And I've only lived in 2 countries. I could go anywhere. I could go to any city. I could walk into any store and meet people that
Mm-hmm.
will resonate with me, whether romantically, platonically, anything, they'll resonate with me because I am worth being resonated with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
So
that actually.
I think that's something to consider when you're feeling really down or feeling like you're in a situation that doesn't serve you in the way
Mm-hmm.
that you want, that you be looking at someone or you're in a relationship and you feel like, well, it's not really going that well for me. I didn't really envision this for myself. You are allowed to exit it. You're allowed to leave, and you're allowed to go and meet more people that will show you
Mm-hmm.
how good it can be. And
That is so true.
it's not in malicious, or it's not in a malicious sense that you're now leaving this person, oh, F them, whatever. It's just for yourself, that you are worthy or you deserve to gift yourself an opportunity to meet more people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I was actually reading I think it's called "This Is How You Heal" by Brianna West,
Mm-hmm.
and she talked about, if you think about, she said, actually, don't believe everything you think and everything that you feel, because if you think back, there was a time when you really thought you'd never get over a relationship, or you'd never move on from the friend that betrayed you, and yet you did. Do you know what I mean? So the
Yeah.
same way, like how when you're going through a depressive state, obviously the mind naturally gravitates towards the negative, where like you're like, oh, I'm heartbroken, I'll never find love again, or I'm heartbroken, I'm never gonna heal from this. But then you actually do, like
Mm,
you come out on the other side, and you're fine.
mm,
So I think it's just one of those things where like you have to give yourself grace to feel and grieve and everything that you need to
definitely.
go through, but also like not convince yourself that this is the end. Because I always like make this like comment with my mom all the time, and I always say that, like, because a lot of women, they say that, oh, men cheat, oh,
Mm,
you'll never find a loyal man, no, man meant this,
mm-hmm.
man this, man that. And I refuse to believe that, because
Yeah.
I want to be with a loyal man. I mean, I am with a loyal man, but what I'm trying to say is, no wonder you don't find loyal men. I mean, if we're really gonna think of like
Yeah.
posturing yourself and manifestation, you're really manifesting disloyal men all the time. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that's what you will attract. If you really want to find a man that's gonna like treat you the way you want, you have to believe that he is out there. You have to literally tell yourself that I'm going to find a man that's going to treat me well no matter what happens. Because even then, when the counterfeit comes in, you're like, because you have to be delulu. You know, when we talked about delulu
Mm-hmm.
before, about like your dreams and goals, I take the same delulu into my relationship. Like, no one can tell me nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as much as people think I'm delulu and crazy for thinking that I have a partner that's loyal, then what's the point? Do you know what I mean? Like, then what's the point? I genuinely think that if should new information arise, then I tackle it then. Because when I used to listen to Judge Lynn Tola, she used to run like divorce court for so many years. And a lot of people were always just worried, what if, what if, what if, what if, what if? And then she just said that, like, living life just just in fear of, maybe this person's gonna hurt me, maybe this person is gonna do this to me, just off the off chance you think that will do that, you deprive yourself of enjoying the relationship for what it is,
Mm,
for what it's good and it's fine, because you're just so scared that this person's gonna hurt you. So she always said, instead, just enjoy it. And the moment you find out, then you leave. Like, there's no point of tormenting yourself for something that may never even happen. What if it
mm,
never happened? Then you're just
exactly.
miserable. Or what if it's going to be
Exactly.
the most beautiful 10 years of your life where nothing happens, and it happens the 10th? Well, at least you've enjoyed the first 10 years, and then the 10th you say, well, I gotta go. So that's the same thing. Like, I just feel like if you really want to find love, you have to truly believe that there is love to find. Because some people, they say, you never find, these days. That's not my story. There's love,
No,
guys. That
yeah.
is not my story. I
No,
refuse
yeah,
to
I
believe that.
agree. I definitely agree. I think what you say, the tongue is really powerful. What
Yeah.
you say about yourself, what you say about a situation does become true at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to be careful with how you say things. Of course, like we talked about, the brain, as beautiful as it is, says things that aren't true sometimes.
Yeah.
So, as a way to protect yourself, your brain will just say, oh, okay, just be scared. When you meet someone, just be scared. Be
Mm-hmm.
scared that you're gonna be cheated on. Be scared that this situation is gonna get worse. Be scared, be scared, be scared, because it's trying to protect you from potentially heartbreak, which you've experienced before. People experience heartbreak all the time. So it becomes scary to then jump into another
Mm-hmm.
relationship or jump into a different situation because you're
Yeah.
trying not to feel those feelings again. But then at the same time, you need to be able to say, okay, I know you're trying to protect me, brain, but at the moment, I like this person and I enjoy flirting with them. I enjoy the situation I'm in. I enjoy hanging out with this person. Let me just hang out and see what happens. And the
Mm-hmm.
more you counteract those negative thoughts, the more enjoyable your situation becomes.
Definitely.
Yes. And then
Definitely.
when it becomes less enjoyable, then you can say, okay, I've had my fair share. Thank you so much for this beautiful cake that I've experienced. Let me exit and move on.
I gotta
Because you
go.
need to remember that you do have evidence that you've survived. You do
Mm-hmm.
have evidence that you've experienced the worst heartbreak of your life, and you recovered
Yeah.
and you were fine and you're here living today, that you can do it again. And next time you'll have the skills and resources to not feel as much as you did the first time that
Mm-hmm.
it happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're
You're
always
more than
learning
capable
something.
of being in a situation where you can protect yourself but also enjoy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think um a lot of it is also like we're talking about just the self love and worthiness,
Mm-hmm.
that people do struggle with figuring out how to love themselves and how to do those things or how to live a full life. So I
Yeah.
think as a task for myself, because I am figuring it out as well, is asking myself what things do I enjoy that I would like to do, and
Mm-hmm.
not taking myself away from those situations or from areas where I actually want to enjoy.
Yeah.
For example, I'm always seeing I would like to learn how to make coffee and decorate. You know how they decorate the coffee with milk and cream and all
Mm-hmm.
of that. I'd
Yeah.
like to do that, and I've always wanted to do that. But have I done it? No. And a lot of it is, you'd want to do it with someone. A little part of me wants to do it with someone that I appreciate or someone that I love in romantically. But depriving myself from that, waiting for that day, then it then becomes like, oh, maybe I don't deserve to do that because I'm not in a relationship. And then I miss out on an opportunity that would have made me happy or would have made me so proud of myself,
Yeah.
you know? So gifting yourself those situations to say, okay, I love myself so much that I want to experience something new on my own and see what
Mm-hmm.
happens. Or
Mm-hmm.
traveling on your own, like that whole solo dating thing, that it starts there. Be curious about yourself. What things do you like? Experiment. If you want to go bungee jumping, go do it. If you want to go solo traveling, try it. If you want to go on a train on your own, do it and see what happens.
Yeah.
Maybe you see that you like it, maybe you see that you don't like it, and you'll be able to say, oh, okay, well, I survived that, I can move on. And the more you give yourself that opportunity, the more you show yourself that you trust yourself to be safe in a new environment on your own, you
Mm-hmm.
trust yourself to try, to experiment, to love. And that will give you so much fulfillment that when anything else comes in, you're already fulfilled and you can share. Because a
Yes.
person who loves themselves so much shares so much love as well. They never hold back. They'll never complain to give love out. They're so generous with
Mm-hmm.
with it. Yeah.
That is so true. And also like one of the other tips that I would give is that it's better to embrace the wait. Like if you're in a waiting season,
Mm-hmm.
or and also like just figure out what your relationship standards are, like just set those and just figure out like what is it that you want. Does this person bring me peace? Do they honor your boundaries? Are they emotionally available? Are they choosing to commit to you? Are they honest with you? Whatever it is that's important to you, like you have to literally write it down so that like you remember and look at it each time and see, is this really what I'm getting? The things that
Mm.
I said I wanted when I was single, is this what I'm getting? Because sometimes when you're single, your mind is very clear on what you want. And then I feel like sometimes once the feelings are involved, the pheromones are just all over the place, the happy hormones, you start getting blurred. You're starting to be more, yes, extending more and more grace on things that you initially said that you wouldn't extend grace on. So I
Mm.
feel like when you're in your single phase, it's very important to really write down like what am I going to take and what I'm not willing to take. What does this mean? Because I think there's power in following through with your word. I One thing I like about Lisa Bilyeu from the Woman of Impact, she's very clear about her boundaries in terms when it comes to cheating. She said she made it very clear from the moment she met her husband. I think they've been married for over 20 years, and she said, if you cheat on me, I won't even give you a reason to even explain. I'm out the door that very second. And I'm sure, like, it's one of those things where, like, you have to stick to what your non negotiable is. Once it's broken, it's time to exit the door, especially when it's like a non negotiable. If it goes against your values or what you believe in, you have to literally, like, be straight, because then that shows that you trust yourself, you trust that you know what's good for you and what's not good for you. Personally, I know that the moment someone even puts their hand on me, hey, that's the same second I'm calling the police. You're sleeping in jail. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's like,
Yeah.
no, no. Like, you've actually just like, you've threatened my safety. How am I going to trust you again? Like, you've literally threatened my safety. And that's a non negotiable for me. Like, I gotta call the police. You gotta go to jail. You gotta
Yeah.
go.
I mean, it doesn't even have to be like extreme cases like that as well. It can even be things that may seem silly but
Mm-hmm.
are quite serious, you know. So for me, it's just honesty, really. Not honesty in the sense of you're lying to me about your life or whatever. No, it can be as simple as I'm struggling right now, or I'm having a hard day, and being told that, oh, you know, I'm just having a hard day today. I
Mm-hmm.
can't really talk right now. We can talk later, or let's just sit in silence together. Not pretending, you
Yeah.
know. So I value someone who would be honest enough to just let me know, like, oh, or even we're even going too far. Even just saying, oh, there's something stuck in your teeth.
Yeah.
You know,
Definitely.
like people do find it difficult to let someone know things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But being honest or being in a relationship, I would like someone to care about me so much that they'd pr- they would be okay being uncomfortable telling me that there's something stuck in my teeth,
Yeah.
because it's just
Definitely.
honest. It's just honest, and I'd rather us be embarrassed in that situation than be embarrassed taking a picture and then seeing that there's green stuff in my teeth, and the whole night I've just been smiling with something in
Smiling.
my tooth, you know, because you were too scared to tell me that. So it's things like that, or someone who's not afraid to try,
Yeah.
who's not afraid to say, okay, I actually am scared that this situation is happening, or we're struggling right now, but I'm okay with figuring it out. I'm okay with
Mm-hmm.
taking a risk with you. I'm okay with those types of things, because it shows how your mental fortitude is. You are quite strong in how you think. You're not
Yeah.
afraid of external things. You're okay and comfortable with taking a risk and seeing what happens from there. So things like
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't even have to be extreme. But I think the issue is when you're in a relationship and now your lines are getting blurred and you don't exit it, it's because you feel like you're not gonna get anything better than that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's really hard to think that way. It's also hard to be in a situation like that. So even in that podcast, the lady said, you can either reveal yourself and experience heartbreak, or conceal yourself and experience loneliness. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Either
what
way,
she
it's a
means in this,
risk.
yeah, either way, it's a risk. So what she means by this is you tell your partner, or Nicole is my partner, I'd let her know that, look, I don't like it when you're not honest with me, when I have things in my teeth, which happens all the time. You don't tell me, you know. Nicole can respond and say, actually, okay, Tina, I'm sorry this is happening. I'll I'll start doing that.
Yeah.
Or she could respond in a negative way and say, actually, you know what, Tina, I don't want to be with someone who thinks that way. So goodbye. This is the end. Right?
Mm-hmm.
The other situation, which is concealing yourself, I could hold that in and hold that resentment, or hold that and say, okay, I don't need to have this uncomfortable conversation with Nicole. We'll just see how it goes. And the more it happens, the more it happens. Next thing, you're in a 10-year relationship,
Yeah.
and every single day this thing is happening to you, and you're not enjoying your life because now you're scared. Think about the embarrassment you feel when you open your mouth. When you take a picture of something in your tooth, you're around people, there's something in your tooth, and it's continuing for 10 years or 10
Mm.
months or 5 weeks. That's a long time.
That's a very long
What,
time.
how does that then affect you? You feel less confident. You feel like, oh, your smile is not pretty. You feel like people are always looking at you. You feel like people are gossiping about you. There's just so much insecurity that comes with concealing yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But either way, you're taking a risk. Which
Yes.
risk would you rather? Would you rather stay in that situation? Would you rather go and say, okay, at least next time I'll meet someone who would let me know? And sure enough, I'm telling you now, there's someone who's gonna come and tell you, look, there's something in your tooth, bro. Take it out,
Mm-hmm.
and you're free.
That's
You
true.
know,
That's
so those are
true.
things that to consider. Yes, love is beautiful, and yes, it's nice when it comes, but when the line starts getting blurred, go back to your list and think, oh, do I still like this person? Do I still like what's going on here?
Yeah. Yeah.
Review, reflect, and see what comes out of it.
Yeah, exactly. And as Mel Robbins always says that like your the best love is ahead of you.
Is
Like you should
yet to
never
come.
think that
Yeah,
like your best love is behind you because there is no such thing. Like the best love, the best time of your life is still ahead of you. Like you still have so much life to experience and so many like memories to make. So you shouldn't convince yourself that this is it, this is over, I'll never be happy again. Because you will, like the sun always shines, doesn't it?
it
And
always does. Yeah,
my last point that I would just like to encourage is that, like, especially if you're on dating profiles, sometimes you have to be like aware because I know sometimes people just scroll on dating profiles and try and see, like, this person could have what I want. This is mean like tangible and materialistic things because obviously you don't have much to go on. That you have to be careful that you're not ignoring the qualities that do make a healthy relationship. Like, is the person kind? Are they emotionally intelligent? Do they respect your values, your shared vision? All these things are not visible on a dating profile, but those are the things that it takes to sustain a relationship long term. So you have to ask yourself that, like, for instance, if he wasn't tall or rich, would I still want to get to know him? Like, and then redefine what high value means, not what society has said high value means, not based on money or height, but how a man treats you and how, like, they lead with integrity or how they make you feel safe and seen. Like, you can build the life that you want. It doesn't have to be the template that you see online and on social media, like the reels when you're going through, and then there's someone having 10 weddings and someone having all these things. I mean, it's beautiful and it's nice, but you also have to be able to figure out what really your wants are and what's more important to you, and then just go from there.
I
Hmm.
agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the end of our podcast. We
Yeah.
discussed a lot,
Wow.
so much, and it was so worth it. I hope you picked up a few points, hints, tips, and all of that from here.
Yes.
Yeah, that was lovely, darling.
That was lovely. Thank you guys for tuning in. Please do like, comment, share it to whoever. If you have any feedback for us, please do just drop a text. We're gonna be posting on our Instagram and TikTok page this coming season. More Thoughts We Share podcast all over. And yeah, thank you guys for listening. Oh my god, I can't wait to be back soon next week.
Definitely. Once again, I'm Tinashe,
And I'm Nicole.
and this was the Thoughts We Share podcast. Thank you so much for listening.
Bye.
Bye.